Hello, I'm back today to do a book review. I have still been reading a ton. I have not made time to do book reviews, so I want to get a couple up pretty quick. So the book I read, I just finished this one the other day, maybe 2 days ago, and it is called Salt to the Sea. I do not know the author, how you actually pronounce her name, so I don't want to try to butcher it. I kind of hate when people do that. So that's the name. She has another book called Between Shades of Grey that I keep seeing, so I might try to pick that up. So this one is a historical fiction novel. I mean, obviously, like, looking at the cover, I knew it was they call it a maritime disaster, and you can obviously tell that. I actually think this book cover is really pretty, and I was very attracted to the book cover. I knew it was a multiple perspective. It actually says for teenagers. I didn't read it as if they were all teenagers. There's a German soldier. There is a nurse who has been repatriated. Is that how you say it? A Polish teen, and she feels like a teenager, and she's kind of, she can't speak German very well. I think she knows just bits and pieces. And then there is a German on a mission, and I don't want to say more of that, but he's trying to accomplish something, and they all kind of have these little mysteries in the beginning. And actually, when I first started reading it, I kind of felt like it starts a little, it's like one of those things where they start it and you don't know any of the pieces. It doesn't start out like, hello, my name is this and this is my background. Just it gives you like disjointed perspectives intentionally, and I kind of found like it was very easy to read, and all of the chapters are quite short. That's what makes it feel more like a young adult novel. So like, that's the first chapter, or the first perspective is like 2 pages or 1 page front and back. But I actually find that makes books move faster, so I don't mind that. But otherwise, I didn't read this. It didn't read like a young adult novel. I think adults would like this just as much. And it's actually about this ship. It is the Wilhelm Gustloff, a ship that promises safety and freedom. So the Soviets are advancing. I guess that's one thing I can mention right away, is if you don't know a lot about World War II, this novel does not explain a lot. I mean, obviously it mentions like Adolf Hitler and stuff like that, but if you don't know a lot about it, it may, or if you don't know maybe the basics of World War II, it may be a little bit confusing, or you may have to read it and just kind of not understand some of the pieces to it. Not as if you wouldn't understand it, but it does help to know a little bit about World War II. So the Soviets are advancing into Prussia, and these people, it's thousands and thousands of people, are kind of funneling through Prussia, and they are all trying to get to, well, I don't know if they're all trying to get there, but thousands of people are trying to get to this harbor to get on these large ships. And this ship in particular, the Wilhelm Gustloff, apparently is like, it said in the author's notes that it is, it says 4 torpedoes weighted in a Soviet submarine. Each torpedo was painted with a dedication, and it says for the motherland, for Soviet people, for Leningrad, for Stalin. 3 of the 4 torpedoes were launched, and it destroys the ship, and you know that what's going to happen. And it says all of these people died, and it said that it dwarfs the death tolls of the famous ships Titanic and Lusitania. And we all know the story of Titanic, obviously. I would say a large population of people would know what happened with the Lusitania, but for some reason this story isn't talked about. And I talked to some of my coworkers about it, and none of us knew. I had never heard of this before, but it really made me want to do some research into it. They refer to the Amber Room of Adolf Hitler's, where, you know, he's taking all of these art pieces from all over. Yeah, and it just made me want to do some more research. I love World War II, or I mean, I love learning about World War II. So yeah, I just found this book really, really interesting. I believe that anybody could read it and enjoy it, and I just thought it was cool to actually have somebody bring something up that maybe mainstream America could read about and learn a little bit more. Why don't we know about this large disaster and all of these people? The one thing, and I think this kind of happens when you like watch Titanic or you learn about Titanic and all of that, when things start going wrong, you start to become so anxious, and it was very staggering when you're reading that perspective of like, oh my god, we might drown, we might go down with the ship, we might whatever. It's very hard to read some of that. Like, it's not graphic at all, and I think that's where like the young adult part of it comes in. It's not graphic, but it's so hard to think of you standing with your child, and they were talking about like people like wanting to get on the ship so badly they would toss their babies up to somebody on the ship hoping that it would reach, and like they didn't always, and it was just very hard. I think it's very good to remember that bad things like that happened and still happen, and that was hard to read. I will say by the end I was totally invested in the characters. I could not stop reading it. I needed to know exactly what was going to happen. There's other characters along with obviously these main four characters, and you know, you find out kind of what happens with those characters as well, and not all of them are happy, which I really liked because I feel like it's real life, and sometimes books and movies can kind of paint things very pretty, and I liked that not everything ended pretty. But I would totally recommend this book. I thought it was so good. I hope that I did an okay review. I feel a little out of practice from doing book reviews, but I think this is a really, really good one, and it does read quite quickly. So I think if someone has never read historical fiction, you could pick up one like this, and it would be easier to read and not so daunting. So I hope that review was okay. I hope that you have a good day, and I would love to hear people's comments if they have read this or would like to read this. That would be awesome. Okay, see you later.